Merry Christmas, YouTube. It's RunningBaldMan here coming to you with another video. Today is Christmas Eve. So, yeah, I thought I would actually do something a little bit different from what I've been doing recently. For anybody who's new to the channel, I've been doing reaction videos for music I normally wouldn't listen to. I think I'm currently on a Nicki Minaj. I've got one more song of hers to listen to. Then I'm not sure what I'll do. If I'll go back to country or what I'll listen to. But yeah. So today I thought I would do a movie review. Wednesday, the new Matrix movie came out, and I absolutely love the franchise. I'm lucky enough that for whatever reason I have HBO Max on my phone, so I am able to Chromecast that onto my TVs or any of my TVs, so I can watch on the big screen. So I'm not sit there glued to a little itty bitty phone. So yeah, I'll take that any day over watching something on a phone. But Matrix Resurrections. If you're not, well, before I get into that, I do want to say in advance, I'm going to try to avoid spoilers, but this will serve as a spoiler warning. So if you have not seen it and want to and do not want to risk spoilers, turn this off, go watch the movie, and then come back and listen to what I think about it. If not, if you've seen it, or if you haven't seen it and just don't really care, thanks for listening. But yeah, and then I may be insensitive toward certain groups of individuals unintentionally. Specifically, the Wachowskis, I think is how you say their name. We all know, or if you don't know and been living on a rock, they've gone through gender reassignment. So originally they were the Wachowski brothers. Now they're the Wachowski sisters. So if I say brothers at some point, I'm either speaking of the original Matrix trilogy and referencing what gender they were at the time that those came out, or it's just unintentional. But in order to avoid that, I'm probably going to try to just say Wachowskis, or the directors or producers or developers or whatever. So yeah. So if you're not familiar with the Matrix franchise, one of my personal favorites, the original trilogy, the second and third movie definitely left something to be desired. I didn't, like most people, I did not care for those, especially that third one. I thought it was too busy, I guess, there at the end of it, especially with the machine attack on Zion. Yeah, with all those just swirling around, it was just too much. But the fight scenes in all three of those movies were great. The first movie, like many people, it's my favorite. It started the Matrix franchise, and if memory serves, I believe they produced or directed or made films together. So they did Matrix 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back. They didn't wait the year or two to begin production. They just went and produced them, and then they released them later on with that year, 2 years, whatever it was, that separated them. So the premise of it is Thomas Anderson meets Morpheus, and is given the red pill. So if you've heard, take a red pill or whatever, that's where that originates from. So the red pill wakes him up from the Matrix, and he finds himself in a pod, and humans are on the run, essentially, I guess, or in hiding from the machines because the machines are using them as batteries to power themselves. And when he wakes up, he becomes Neo because that's his online and within the Matrix, his online name or personality or persona. And then 2 and 3 just kind of continues that. And then Agent Smith, one of the big antagonists of the franchise. So yeah, so in Matrix Resurrections, I haven't decided whether or not I actually like it. It just came out Wednesday, so today's Friday, Christmas Eve. So 3 days ago, I've watched it twice. I've got it on right now for a third time. But yeah, I'm not sure if I like it or not. I mean, I wrote a review on it on my Facebook. Shared that. Let's see. Let me read that. Let's see. Not the best production of video, but I'm still learning this. So, Matrix Resurrections. I'm not sure whether I liked it or not. There are parts that are better than the second and third film, but the fight scenes this time around lack the grit and the aggression of the original trilogy. They just maybe it's because of the color. The first or the original trilogy, when they had scenes of in the Matrix on screen, they had a greenish tint to them, whereas this one, they're clear. They're not just like a regular movie, so they did away with that. So it kind of softened it up a little bit, I guess. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like the punches hit as hard either in there. Let's see. The Agent Smith character, who was originally played by Hugo Weaving, phenomenal. I mean, great portrayal. He was a great addition to that, as well as the Morpheus character, Lawrence Fishburne. In this one, they had different characters or different actors playing them. So Smith specifically, there were parts like when they were entered, when the character or the individual who was playing an unknown Agent Smith was introduced, where he played that very well. They had a bunch of, well, throughout the whole film, they have a bunch of flashbacks to the original trilogy. So I don't know if that's them saying, or the Wachowski sister that took part in producing this film, because there was only one. If that was her way of creating the parallel between this current one and the previous films, or what was going on there. I mean, it's been, what, 40 years? Well, no, 20 years since we had since the last original Matrix movie was released. So a little bit of a gap. And sorry if I'm looking away. I'm kind of watching the movie as I record this. So let's see. So it obviously isn't the same Matrix. We know that. Anybody who's seen the films knows that the Matrix was destroyed. So it's a brand new Matrix. But also 60 years Matrix time or film time have passed. It does feel like a 2020s movie as opposed to a 1990s movie like the original trilogy. So it's modernized. I mean, it doesn't have all the cell phones because, yeah, people are glued to their phones, but there are other ways in and out of the real world. Um, it does suffer from what I would consider plagued the Disney Star Wars trilogy, but it's not as much, not as evident until the very last, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of the movie, maybe 30. Um, and then in the closing credits, the song Wake Up, that was originally done by Rage Against the Machine. Uh, in the original trilogy, that song was played at the closing credits. They play it again at the closing credits on this film, but it was a female rock band, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But again, it lacked the punch, the aggression of the original song, the Rage song. Um, but that just speaks to the time that we're in, where everybody's got to be all lovey dovey and, oops, sorry I hurt your feelings. That sort of thing. Walking on eggshells basically. Um, it does fit today's world, though. I mean, with the softer tone, the lighter punches, the weaker fight scenes. Let's see. I do need to watch it a few more times before I actually decide if I like it. I just gotta process it. Like the original trilogy, there's a lot to it. They do talk about the bullet time, which was original with the original Matrix. I believe they created that for those films, and there are just aspects of it. Morpheus in this film, I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's an interesting presence. Yeah, his introduction into the film and how he fits into it, it doesn't feel like the Matrix to me. I mean, there are throwbacks and like I said, parallels back to the original trilogy and Morpheus and all the characters in there. And I just wonder if that was done so the audience can equate the new actors with the original actors. Um, and with some of the dialogue, they repeat some of that dialogue. Uh, yeah, I know there are a bunch of theory videos out there of what this movie is in comparison to the others. Is it when Neo had his abilities in the real world? Uh, was that just an extension of the Matrix, or was it just something that he magically was able to do and control machines? Neil Patrick Harris, excuse me, Neil Patrick Harris is a new character within the film. He is probably, aside from the Neo and Trinity characters, the best thing in the film. I mean, he's the best newest addition to the film. Um, yeah, he fits really well into it. I mean, just his mannerism, his speaking speed, um, it fits into his character and how they have him situated into it. Of course, there's the Deja Vu cat that's in there. Um, Trinity, she does, but she doesn't play a huge role in the film. She doesn't really factor into it, I guess, until the last little bit of the film. Um, it's interesting to see how some of the roles are reversed between her and Neo, um, and how they come together and basically become one. I was thinking about that earlier. I wonder if the Wachowski, is it Lana that did this film? If that was her way to symbolize the man woman thing and how we're all essentially the same. And, or I don't know, but I do. I know there are a lot of people that won't like how they did that part of the film. I actually enjoy that. I like that. It's a nice little touch. Um, in the mirrors, I like how they use the mirrors as focal points. Um, and again, Neo and Trinity, uh, they look in the mirror and they see themselves. But when others look at them, it's a completely different persona that some random off the street would see, which really is kind of like how we see ourselves. I mean, when we look in the mirror, we have our own visual image of ourselves that's different from what somebody else would see. Like you looking at this now or watching this now, it, your what you're seeing is different from what I see. Um, I see some bald piece of shit, basically, Gomer Pyle looking son bitch. Um, whereas I don't know what you guys see. I'm not going to try and pretend I know. Um, but yeah, I like that. There's just a lot to the film. I mean, there's a lot to the franchise itself, but it is going to take some time to process everything that I've seen and will see in this film. Uh, I've not seen it in the theater yet. Like I said, I've been lucky enough to watch it on HBO Max. Um, it and that's nothing to do with the current global situation. Uh, I'm perfectly fine with going to the theater. I went to theater back in September, so that doesn't play any factor into anything. Uh, I'm just cheap. um, I mean, as much as I need to watch that this weekend to try to get a grasp on everything, I'd go broke if I went and did that in theater. If I tried to do that in theater, even a matinee, or if I had a student discount or whatever, that's just too much. So it's beneficial that I can watch at home. Um, I might try and go see it maybe New Year's weekend in the theater just to get that feel of it. Um, but there's a lot here around home that I'm going to do. Um, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's good, but it's not great. Um, it it's it doesn't feel like the Matrix, just because of the color variances and how bright and crisp this iteration of the Matrix is versus the original Matrix. Um, I would think that people today, if they're just seeing this for the first time, they're not going to be too big of a fan of it because it doesn't really have that much of a story in it that first timers to the series can just jump on board with. Um, so you really kind of need to know what's what with Matrix. So if you haven't seen the originals, go watch the originals. Go rewatch Resurrections then. That'll kind of give you a better idea of what's going on, why is what, and you may find that you have some of the same feelings that I do. about, especially the Morpheus and the Smith characters. Um, that Namarovingian, the Frenchman, he's in this. It's just more of a cameo. He doesn't. He. I don't want to say he doesn't have a major part in it. He could have. I mean, yeah, he could have had a bigger role in this. Um, but there's just so much that really this should have been another trilogy. In my personal opinion, this should have been another trilogy. Um, it would have helped clear up some of the issues that I have with it. Some of the issues that a lot of people would have in it with it. Um, the guy that plays Morpheus, great actor. I don't think he really fits. His iteration of Morpheus doesn't really fit into the film compared to the original. Uh, and Smith, it's excuse me. It's Smith starts off like Smith, hating Neo and wanting to kill him. But there comes a point where, again, it feels softer. It feels feathered for the current social environment. It's not, hey, I hate you. You're my nemesis. I want to kill you. Uh, yeah, it definitely, it's worth at least one watch. Um, Visually, it is good. The crispness, the clarity of the film. It does have some good acting in it. Keanu Reeves, he's great. Carrie Ann Moss is who plays Trinity, I believe. She does a good job with it. Um, and how they free her from the Matrix is interesting. Uh, yeah, it's past my bedtime almost. But yeah, how they free her from the Matrix, that's an interesting little twist. Um, it raises some new questions about how you can free somebody from the Matrix. Um, but yeah, I'm going to go finish watching this. That's it for my review, I guess, of the Matrix. It may not be the best review out there, um, but is the first movie I've reviewed. I'm still fairly new at this whole YouTube thing, so bear with me. Like, subscribe, share. Don't like it, comment. Tell me what I did good. Tell me what I did bad. I do read the comments, and I try to adapt or adjust future videos to any comments or critiques of the video. But yeah, I'm going to try to remember to leave my Discord, a link to my Discord server in the comments or in the description. Feel free to jump on there, join the Discord, give me suggestions on what you want me to do next. In the meantime, this is Running Bald Man, and I think I want to go for a run. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. Just a quick addition to the video. Something I thought about. The Agent Smith character, I do not like how he calls Neo Thomas. Once he's realized as being Agent Smith. That is far outside of the original character. Always calling him Mr. Anderson. Yeah, that's not okay. That is way too far gone from the original Smith character. I realize it's a different actor, different time, whatever. Um, but if you're going to have another actor portray Agent Smith, um, at least have them or have his dialogue written to where it mirrors the original Smith. So call him Mr. Anderson all the time instead of Tom. I think you might have a Tommy in there at some point. No matter what the pre-realization of Smith relationship is or was. But yeah. All right. So that is really it. Everybody have a good Christmas.